Then you can laugh in my face if we're wrong, it would be sad for me, but probably good for you because you've got all this gold now. So what are we talking about? We're talking about
smart money, dumb money,
smart money, dumb money. The hedge funds right now are just not buying anything. And everybody else that's buying is retail investors. I'm not saying hedge funds aren't buying anything at all, but for the most part, they've been pretty much stagnant in the market. Especially if you look at like the intraday trading, the volatility, look at this. It's just up there. So what do you do if you're trying to position your portfolio defensively in an environment that is probably going to be negative? And this is where our two schools of thought came in. So if I buy these stocks, so if I say I'm going to go back to American States and Water that's got a good coverage ratio, Hershey's that says it's got a pretty good payout and coverage ratio, and we look at, even if we're looking at Campbell's Soup or any one of the other ones in the portfolio, you're going to do a few things. You're going to increase your passive income. So this investment income is going to go up to, probably 220, 225. So you're going to be a little bit higher in this space. But what's going to happen to your investment is your principal is going to drop. Probably by 10 to 15%. Like, I don't think we're done.
As the market drops, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we're done dropping. So what do you do in that environment to protect yourself? To me, the answer depends. If this was all I had, if I only had 69, like that was my whole investment thesis, I would probably play it a little bit more defensively. I would probably buy the bond or like a CD bill. I'd buy a bit. I can't say this. Say that again.
Bill. Treasury bill.
Treasury bill. Buy a treasury.
Bonds are different than bills.
This is how much I don't buy bonds.
T-bills. T-bills.
Yeah. I usually buy individual stocks.
I would also add, it depends on how old you are. If you're 20, you don't care if the stock market goes up or down. You just want to buy as it goes down.
You don't think I'm 20?
No. You're far from 20.
Thanks.
You're double 20.
Thanks.
Or if you're 60 or 70 and you're collecting and you're counting on this income, then it does absolutely matter if this market goes down, because if it goes down, you have less money.
The other thing, too, is if you buy, let's say we took a CD and we went out 3 months with it. In fact, we could look at the
4%, 4.2% maybe.
Yeah, what do we do? Bonds or CDs? What do you want? Pick one.
Well, look at CD first.
CD? All right. We're going there. That's still pretty good. I mean, it's not quite as good as it was last fall.
4.2?
Yeah, but that's still pretty good.
Yeah.
And if you take that, I mean, that's an amortized thing. So you're not going to get 4.2% over 3 months. You're going to get 4.2% over the whole year.
Right.
So that means in 1 quarter, you're getting 1 percentage point or so. So if you've got $1,000, you made $10.
You can just let it roll over, or you can use it for something.
So the thought is, if we hold on to this for 3 months, then what you got back here in your portfolio is that you've got another, in this case, it would be $70, 3 months time from now, that you could invest. What you would be betting on is you'd be betting on that the market's going to be more volatile and is actually going to crash, not go up in that time frame, and then you would get a better cost basis for your dividend checks. So what that means here is, if you go to cost basis, if you look at like our heaviest weighted one, Intel, $8,000, you put in Intel. This is one of our worst performing ones. And you look at the cost basis. That basically means that this was an expensive stock relative to what it's worth. If the stock drops 40%, we buy a dividend check and they haven't declared their X date, your cost basis is less, a lot less. Your dividend check is not 4%. It's, let's say, it goes down 40%. It's like 6%. You made a lot. Well, it's not quite 6, but that's the idea. So, like, do we do the CD? Do we do the bond? Do we treasury bill, T-bill? Do we do the T-bill? I said that right, finally.
Yeah.
Do we do that, or do we just say heck with it and buy these stocks and take the hit that is expected to come? Now, here's the thing about the market. We just showed the SPY. We go back, look at SPY here, and we look at what it's been doing over the course of, every major recession in most younger people's lifetimes. So you're going back to 2006. It doesn't show the dot-com bubble, but that was back then when the dot-com bubble hit, back when all those advertisements were hitting on the Super Bowl. The chart looked violent. It looked very, very violent, just like 2008. 2008 looked violent because if this was, percentage-wise, if you're looking at the number, you're looking at 350, 330 all the way down. But right now, it's all the way up to, what is it now, 520?
520, yeah.
So the percentage, it looks less now because the chart's higher. So it shrinks what the dip looks like it was. But back then, it looked a lot more violent, looked a lot worse. So in this case, even then, if you take it from 2020, that's the COVID dip, then you go 2008, the housing recession, the Great Recession. Sure, it was a dip, but most recessions only last, what I say at the beginning of the stream, 18 months. So if you look here, you got 2008, that's about when it really, really started hitting. people realized, oh crap, we're in trouble. You went 12 months, 2009, and then, by 2010, you're not quite back, but you're getting there. And the market was pretty close. It touched on it, but 2 years. So in the course of unless you think the American economy is going to go bankrupt lately like Greece, over the course of a long period of time, it's not really going to be as big of an issue because the Fed's job is designed to manage inflation. They're not there to manage deflation. They're there to manage inflation. They're supposed to keep the world's currency, the reserve currency, as a dollar. And in order to do that, they have to keep it between 1% and 3%. They've not been doing a good job of that, admittedly. Trump has a point. That's been the problem for the past 6 years, 5 years or whatever. If they do their job and it's at 2%, in theory, this chart should continue on the index fund to do that. What does that mean for stocks? Well, if you come back to the stock market and you look at all of our stuff in our portfolio, that means that if you go to, let's look at Fastenal. I'm going to pick on them again. Where's Fastenal? There. Bottom. Stop. There it is. If you look at Fastenal, you look at over not the 5-year chart. We're going to look over a long period of time. They speak of a bubble. There's your shipping bubble. And right now, here's what they call the asset bubble, the everything bubble.
I don't know. The Trump bubble.
The Trump bubble. Even though he's only been in office for a few months. It's all his fault.
It's all his fault.
He had nothing to do with it the last 4 years, but it's his fault. He's causing all this right now. Oh, man. But look at Fastenal here. There's stock splits and stuff, so those are, you double how many shares that you have, which is really good for your dividend check.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they cut their dividend, but that's another story.
And technically, it's good for your growth as well, because there has been growth.
Oh, yeah.
And now you got double the stock to be able to grow.
I've had Fastenal since 2009, just after I married my wife. And we did really well. That's great. But that's not what you're looking at here. At least not what we want to be looking at. It's how Garrett Tom's doing.
It's all those Ds.
We're looking at the Ds.
There's
the
another
dividend
split.
checks. Yep. There, bunch of dividends, 15 cents a share. Why do we care about Fastenal and things like Dow or DuPont, or we can look at Dow? Because these are, this is when they repurposed. Dow had a big problem. So did DuPont. DuPont shrank. Maybe I should look at DuPont. We'll go to DuPont.
DuPont.
You should play that song in front of them next to their earnings report.
I'm sure they would appreciate that.
If you could see the stock of DuPont before they reissued, because we had stock in them back in 2008, and you don't see anything here. They shrank a lot, but DuPont and companies that are chemical companies, the Fastenal, nuts and bolts, those kinds of companies are very good indicators of what the health of the economy is. So if you really want to look at something like, okay, what is the American consumer really doing? You look at this. This is Dow Inc., Dow Chemical, whatever. Look at that. Not good. Some of that has to do with the business, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that these are products that people have to have. Another good one is 3M. They make adhesives and roofing materials. You need a roof.
Among other things.
And apparently masks that the Army doesn't like, causes them to spin off Solventum and give them $9 billion on the way out of debt. Here you go. We're going to make our balance sheet look better. You guys can have all this debt. 3M speaks more to they had a problem with their debt, but you can see that they've been recovering from it right about back to where the market cap was that they originally were. The companies that we have in our portfolio, foundationally, at least until 5 years are up, we're going to be doing a lot of foundational stocks to get that foundation built for good dividend checks. Then we take those dividend checks and we can start buying more speculative investments like hydroponic farming or something that, maybe the next great energy craze. But we're going to be doing that with dividend checks, not with capital appreciation on principal. So right. It's going to be safer that way. So when you buy these stocks...
And we'll just keep getting those dividend checks over and over. It's just keeps coming. Where if you take appreciation on stock, then you lose those shares.
Mm-hmm.
You lose any kind of growth that you're going to get from that.